with junior officers. Did you specifically raise those issues at the interview?
I raised few issues. I don't recall which ones I raised, but obviously, if you raise issues like they would say to you, or they said, well, the chief of police is, and we don't have evidence of what you are saying. And this has been the practice. But I was a bit reluctant because I've been working in the department, working in the city, and I know exactly what was happening. Like I said, we are three. And as a female, you want to advocate that females are being harassed in the department, sexually harassed in the department, and you are sitting with 4 males. You are sitting with 4 males. As an accounting officer, yes, I did raise issues, Commissioner.
You say you did raise issues, but you don't remember what you raised. These issues aren't the normal run-of-the-mill cases. These were very serious issues. Sexual harassment, rape, and the others that have been mentioned. In fact, that you have mentioned. Those are serious issues. There is no way you would not remember if you specifically raised them at the interview. Did you?
I'm saying I raised the issue of sexual harassment of female, the allegations. That's what I raised. But I don't remember other issues that I raised, whether I raised the issue of the accident, because the memorandum was never brought to my attention.
And why would you have singled out sexual harassment if there were even allegations, according to you, allegations of rape? Why would you have singled out sexual harassment?
The rape is a new case that was actually brought to the attention of the city now during the sexual harassment case of the victim.
Just repeat. I didn't quite get the point you were making about you are one woman and there are 3 men. You said something about being able to raise issues of this nature in that context. I didn't quite get the point you were making. Can you please articulate that point more clearly?
I have raised the issue that I have concern that these things are happening in the department.
Just repeat, please.
I have raised the point about sexual harassment allegations within the department, and Chief being one of them. But the other issues that I raised there, to be honest, but I do not recall, but definitely I did raise the issue.
Do matters like those get recorded somewhere? Would there be a record of what you raised at those interviews somewhere within the municipality?
Well, the interviews are not recorded. We write down about the scoring and how the interview they are actually performing. That is the purpose of the interview. But there's no space where
Is that good governance, though? Because there's a lot of issues usually arise out of what took place at interviews. Is it good governance not to record? And one example of the sort of issues that do arise is, for example, litigation around who was appointed and who was not appointed. Is it good governance not to record?
It's not.
And why under your administration wasn't there recording if you accept that it's not good governance not to?
Interviewing processes are run by HR department. They bring the files to us, and the forms are actually structured in such a manner that we only record the process and the response of the candidates that are being interviewed.
Yes.
But there is no space where you can write your objection as a member of the panel.
When you say you get what comes from HR, it sounds to me like you are saying it's HR's fault. And if my understanding is correct, you are the head, you are the administrative head, the executive head, in fact. So you can correct what HR is doing wrong, can't you? So
I can. I take your point, Commissioner.
Yeah, all right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Machazi, this video is in 2020. Is that correct, or is it recent?
Commissioner.
I beg your pardon?
Correct.
Yes. And when you do the interview in 2022, you are aware of this incident or these complaints?
Correct, Commissioner.
And did you raise them in the panel with Chief Mapie?
This particular one, I do not recall.
You don't recall whether you raised it?
Yeah, I don't recall. I only recall the sexual harassment one.
You raised the sexual harassment in that interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you record your concerns in your form that you complete?
I didn't.
You did not?
Yes.
So as matters stand, the appointing authority, which is council, doesn't know that you raised this issue in the panel because you didn't write it down?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. Did you dissent in the panel? Because you're saying it's a panel appointment. Did you dissent from the majority decision in the panel? And before you answer, I would like to propose to you that and I can put this to you, that experience is that people do record in their panels, in their panel discussion, they do record concerns about candidates. Did you record your dissension from the decision to recommend him?
I didn't.
You did not?
I didn't.
So council never came to know that you are unhappy that he be appointed to the position because of the allegations that you are now making before us. Council never came to know about it.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not council's fault that chief got to be appointed in 2022 for another 5 years.
Correct.
You can't blame councillors for that.
Correct.
All right, thank you. And you say that you could not discipline him as his superior because there was no complaint. But you are aware of these allegations of motor vehicle destruction, drinking or driving under the influence of alcohol. You are aware of this video where these allegations are being made against him. Why did you not lodge a complaint as his superior, a written complaint against him? You know the facts. You know the facts. You know they are disciplinable facts, and they include destruction of council property, according to you. Why did you not lay a complaint in writing?
In writing to?
To the council.
To the council.
Unless you're telling us that he's not disciplinable because he's head of police and you are his manager. Unless you're telling us that, which is not what you've said. You've said the authority lies with council. You couldn't initiate without council approval. So these allegations must land before the council for the council to authorize, right, an investigation and disciplinary action. You say to us there was nothing, there was no written complaint, but only you could lay a complaint because you're his superior and you know these allegations against him. Why did you not lay a complaint?
Correct. I did not lay the complaint. Remember, I've explained that that memorandum from the MMC did not reach my office. And this video, I just got it like last night because people could see that I'm struggling I don't have information, I don't have evidence. I just got it last night. That's why we submitted this morning to the commission.
No, it can be. You were city manager in 2020 already. You were city manager.
Correct.
There's a very public protest, as we see in this video. Mm-hmm. So you know that there's allegations that he's destroyed company property. You know that. you know that there's allegations that you drove under the influence, a motor vehicle of the council. So you know that in 2020, as city manager, so it's not video dependent. It is fact. What do you know in 2020? You've just confirmed. You were aware of this in 2020, of this conduct. Mm-hmm. My question is, why did you not lay a complaint? Because your answer is, I couldn't discipline him because there was no written complaint. But you're the city manager, he's superior. Why did you not lay a complaint?
Let me concede that I failed to discipline the chief of police, and yes, I failed to do an oversight on him as an HOD.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Silla.
Thank you, Commissioner. Perhaps the logical place to start would be to tag on to what the commissioners have raised. And my first question, and I think you touched on it slightly, I think in response to Commissioner Baloyi's question, what exactly was the purpose of you sharing this particular clip with the video? What were you intending to achieve?
It was to support my evidence on 50.2 that he has indeed defeated the ends of justice.
Okay,
and so I have summarized by saying I failed to take action against him, and I also failed to do proper oversight over him.
Now, you, I think in the course of one of your responses indicated that he was politically protected, and I think you spoke of this particular incident as to why he was not dealt with, and you explained it away by saying he was politically protected. Did I understand you correctly?
Correct.
What does that mean? And what is the effect of being politically protected?
The effect of that is that as an accounting officer, there's really little you can do. You'll see when we go to question 13 how I struggled to present the report to the executive, for the executive to consider the report on his suspension.
Now, if you can recall, over the course of your tenure as city manager and Chief Mapie as chief of police, how many times have you suspended him?
Suspended, Chief?
Come again?
It's once. He was suspended. He's suspended. He's on his first suspension.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to know how many times you have subjected him to a suspension.
3.
Yes.
It's only once.
It's only once.
Yeah, because there was concrete report and concrete evidence from the victim.
Indeed, in acting in the absence of concrete evidence. I'm more interested in the latest suspension and the basis and what you call concrete evidence to support the latest suspension with what is depicted in that clip. Why couldn't you suspend him there? What was missing at that time? And why didn't you exercise your power to suspend him and initiate a disciplinary process?
Thanks, Commissioner. I do not want to sound like a broken record and
Yes.
repeat myself of the answers I've given about that video. I've indicated that that video, I only received it last night. And I indicated at the beginning of the commission that we are struggling to get information from the city. And I have also indicated that the political head of that department memorandum or the issues that were raised by these police officers.
Okay, so you only learned last night that in 2020 a memorandum covering the issues that you address in part at paragraph 50.2 was submitted to the city. You only learned that last night.
Last night I got evidence of the allegations I'm making on section 50.2.
Yes, I appreciate
I've
that.
been knowing that there are this accident, but I do not have evidence. And I wanted to play this video to show you that indeed he defeated the ends of justice. And the officers are protesting there about the accidents.
I appreciate that you call it evidence. My question really was about when you acquired knowledge of the existence of the memorandum submitted by those members of the EMPD that we just saw on the clip to the city. When did you become aware of that particular fact? Not when did you see it actually happen on TV? When did you become aware of it?
Well, officers informally they would say a chief was involved in this accident, a chief was this, and there was no formal complaint. But now, since there is this commission and there is this video and also this allegation 50.2, we have gathered a lot of information and we are getting statements and police case numbers to support the notion that he has defeated the ends of justice.
Dr. Mashazi, there is no statement you can obtain that can help you answer my question. My question relates to when you acquired personal knowledge of the existence of the memorandum. You accept that there is no statement that can be tendered for that purpose. So can I have an answer to that question, please, if you don't mind?
Can I indicate that I've answered that question?
No, you haven't.
Accepted that I failed to deal with Chief in terms of his misconduct.
Is that if you do accept responsibility in that context, what is the purpose then of bringing the allegations reflected in 50.2 to this commission when you are fully appreciative of your own failings, but you do not disclose those failings at the time you make these allegations? It is until you are pushed almost on the second day of your testimony that you make the concession. Why is that?
The importance is for me, as I indicated, to support my allegations that he indeed defeated the ends of justice and he was involved in 2 accidents where he was driving under the influence of alcohol.
But that is not evidence of what you contend. That is evidence that members of EMPD protested in relation to the allegations. It's not evidence of the allegations themselves. Do you accept? And you didn't tender that for the purpose.
Yeah, thank you. Let me respond. We will submit the evidence. The evidence that will be submitting, it will be obviously the cases that were opened.
And you did speak to these cases, I think, at 50.2. You stated complaints or misconduct reports and were not acted upon or were actively suppressed. Were not acted upon by who? Who are you accusing of failing to act upon those?
Firstly is IPIT that is supposed to, and secondly, firstly is myself, secondly is the IPIT, because investigation was supposed to be done, proper investigation was supposed to be done by the police, and upon investigation, I should have taken a disciplinary action against him.
Sorry, I apologize. I interrupted you. I thought...
No, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm
so
done.
Technically, you're inviting the commissioners to read paragraph 50.2 thus. The complaints and the misconduct reports were not acted upon by inter alia myself. That's your complaint. And were acted, and IPID on the other hand.
Don't nod. Please say yes.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't want to speak louder while she's speaking. It will be as if I'm interrupting her.
I understand.
Appreciate
I
it.
understand.
Okay. So perhaps I pause there, and your response is a yes. You confirm that the statement must be read to mean complaints or misconduct reports were not acted upon by inter alia, myself, and IPID.
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. The second half of that is your charge, they were actively suppressed. By who and how?
By IPIT or the law enforcement or by himself, because I never got to see any report. As the video indicated that he's been protected, I never got to see the accident report, the outcome of the accident, and the recommendation from IPIT, because they always investigate police misconduct. I never got to get that report.
I appreciate that. But you're making a specific allegation to the commission and you say these acts of misconduct were actively suppressed. When you wrote that in your statement, I would take it that you at least had a sense of who suppressed and how they suppressed.
Expected that kind of a report that chief was involved under the influence of alcohol and the city must take action against him. But I never got to get that report. Hence, we are saying his misconduct was actually suppressed.
Is it?
Yes, maybe the testimony that we have about IPID's investigation into Badia Mkhwanazi is that Spies actually went and laid a criminal complaint with the police.
Did not get a report. You've said that a good few times, even this morning, I did not get a report. I don't understand. That you are the leader, you are the top administrator.
Was a political hit. And I have indicated that my hands are tied in terms of politicians. He promised that he's going to submit that report to the administration, of which he did not. And I want to actually maybe concede that waiting for a report did not help me, and waiting for a report made me not to act or implement consequence management from the chief of, for the consequence management on the chief of police.
The complaint was not by politicians, so you did not have to depend on politicians to get to the bottom of what all of this was about. So you cannot blame the politicians for not having brought the memorandum to you. Can you?
No, I can't.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. You, in response to the question that the Chair just posed to you, and I understood you to say the politician upon whom the memorandum was served promised to submit the report to the administration. Is that what you said?
Correct, Commissioner.
By report, do you mean the memorandum itself, or a report that he or some structure within the city would compile for submission to the administration? What exactly did he promise to submit?
He promised to submit the memoranda because he indicated on that video that they are investigated.
When was this promise made?
He promised on the video that he was going to submit the report to the administration being me as the administrative head. And that memorandum, and it never reached my office.
When did you learn of this promise?
I beg your pardon?
When did you learn of the promise? Being made?
On that day when he took a memorandum.
The date of the day of.
Yeah.
And what steps did you take to ensure that he delivers on his promise?
I did not take any steps. I was waiting for the memoranda, and I took the commissioner, the chairperson's view that I did nothing to implement consequence management.
No, I doubt you can implement any consequence management on political appointees. Am I correct? Against whom are you going to implement consequence management?
I can through council. Remember, if there are allegations and there is that memoranda in front of me, I was expected to write a report to mayoral committee that these allegations should be investigated, and that report will eventually go to council to be entertained, and council will take it, will make a determination that these allegations be investigated.
Do you understand the magnitude of your failure to at least pursue a promise you know was publicly made regarding these important and disturbing issues? Do you appreciate, if you accept that you would have been a trigger for the council to investigate this particular politician and take steps, and you fail to do so, you just so flippantly, you come across as so flippantly saying, I take the point, oversight on my part. Is that how you intend to communicate it, or am I misunderstanding you?
Well, I can't comment on that. I've
Okay.
made a point that I failed to discipline chief of police in terms of council processes and the code of conduct for senior managers. I also accept the fact that I failed to play an oversight role on him as an HOD.
And I say, because you, 5 years later in 2025, before the Madlanga Commission, you make it a specific objective of your testimony here to highlight precisely what Chief Mapieya did 5 years ago, in circumstances where you had certain failings. And we must accept that you do so because you seriously want those issues to be addressed? Or are you just raising them to show up Chief Mapieya and his shortcomings? What is the purpose, really?
That such issues be investigated or
By
be
who?
addressed. Remember, there's an issue about political interference, infiltration of criminals within the system. There's also an issue about political interference. There's also an issue about political killings.
Yes.
And I think, and also defeating the end of justice. I don't know
Yes.
how to put it legally. So we need to showcase that police officers themselves, at some point, they do defeat the ends of justice. And that must be looked into, especially where cases are reported and nothing happened on them, or no investigation was done, or no consequences was implemented. We should actually showcase and assist the Commission in making recommendations.
Thank you.
I hope you'll be moving on. I think this
I am.
point has been exhausted.
I just have one last point, and then I'm moving to my next question. So you raise it for purposes of demonstrating defeating the ends of justice. Anything about political interference in particular? No, you don't take it that far.
Political interference, I've indicated several times. I'll still indicate during question 13, where I was prevented to take action against the chief of police, and where I was victimized immediately after I took action and took the report direct to council,
Okay.
because I was blocked by the executive mayor or by the executive.
Okay, then we will deal with that issue under that question. Is then you introduced the video. Have we covered it as extensively as you would have wanted the Commission to consider it? May we
Correct.
move on? Thank
Correct.
you. I would invite us to go to question 11. At your page 22.
Ms. Silo, just for our benefit, sorry, Chair, can you just indicate for us which questions have been answered and which ones remain?
Okay.
We are a bit lost in our
All right.
record, so just
Because
so
of the approach we had.
Yes.
We are left with question 9, question 11, question 12, and 13.
Thank you very much.
Those are the outstanding
I
questions.
whispered to my colleagues just now.
And I'm sorry to add to the confusion by skipping 9 and going to 11.
Oh, all right.
So I'm going to deal with 11 and 12 in succession. Then I retrace to 9 and finalize with 13. Thank you. 11 appears at your page 22, the statement, Dr. Mashazi, at page 22. And this particular question wanted you to comment on the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi to the rank of Deputy Chief of Police during or about December 2023. You have responded comprehensively to this question from paragraph 124 to paragraph 136. If you could take the commissioners through your response.
Thank you, ma'am. The position of Deputy Chief of Police was vacant, and there was a need to fill the position. The position was advertised, and a panel was formulated. Chief of Police was the chairperson of the panel, and there were 2 candidates who competed for the position. And in terms of my statement here, I'm saying that the chief responded to chief's allegation anyway that he in fact wanted to appoint Ivan du Plessis as compared to Mkhwanazi. I want to place it on record that I did not participate.
Apologies, Doctor. Could you draw perhaps the speakers closer to yourself? Because your voice sometimes drops and you are not always audible. Thank you.
Okay. I want to put it on record to the Commission that I did not participate in the process because this is delegated to the Chief of Police and he becomes the chairperson of the panel. The outcome of the of the interview panel, there's an annexure IM19 where the scoring sheet is actually depicted, where the chief, despite his statement and Ncuza's statement that in fact he wanted to appoint Ivan against Mkhwanazi, he scored Mkhwanazi 21 points above Ivan du Plessis. He actually scored Ivan du Plessis 18. And in terms of the scoring of other members, they were actually in line with chief scoring, wherein Mkhwanazi ended up being the recommended candidate for appointment. I need to indicate that during this period, I was on leave and Mr. Mkhwanazi was given an appointment letter. Thank you.
Thank you. Please help the Commission understand the level of Deputy Chief of Police is 2 levels below you, in a sense that the person in that post would report to the Chief of Police, and then then you are the city manager, and the Chief of Police then accounts to council through you.
Correct.
Is that the correct order?
Okay. Correct, Commissioner.
In terms of city regulations and HR grading, what grade would that be? Is that a senior grade? Would you have a sense? If you could help me out there, I'm a bit in the dark.
Yes, it's not at senior level. It's a senior level in terms of departmental structure. But senior managers, in terms of the legislation, it's the head of department.
Okay. But it's senior enough that the process of recruitment is slightly more stringent than for lower-ranking members in the government structures. Is that a fair assessment?
Correct, ma'am.
And I understand that at this particular level, those candidates who are successful in the interview are then put forward to complete a competency assessment test?
Correct.
Oh. Are you aware of one conducted in relation to this appointment?
Obviously, they can't appoint anyone at that level without competency assessment. That is the rule.
Mr. Mapieye, Chief Mapieye, do you have a Chief Mapieye statement next to you? Commissioners, if I may ask you to turn to that.
Statement?
Statement, please, statement. Thank you for pointing that out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have it at hand, if you could turn to page 20 of Mapiye's statement. I'm going to deal with that statement from paragraph 66, but just to put what 66 and succeeding paragraphs speak to, it's appropriate I place it in its proper context. Chief Mapieye speaks to that recruitment process. He confirms that he was part of that interview panel and that they interviewed two candidates, being Brigadier Mkwanazi and Staff Officer Ivan Duplessis. So now we get to 66. At 66, and I quote, he states, at the conclusion of the interviews, both candidates, as is the norm for appointments at that level, were to undertake competency assessments, at the conclusion of which the panel would reconvene and make a final evaluation based on the interview scores and the competency assessment results, and thereafter recommend the successful candidate for appointment. At 67, he states, I continue, the HOD-HR never reconvened the panel for the purposes stated above. I have never seen the competency assessment results of either candidate and do not know if either undertook such assessment. I can confirm that the interview panel thus never completed its task, and neither did it recommend the appointment of any of the two candidates to the post. I next saw Brigadier Mkwanazi with the new insignia and georgettes of the rank of Deputy Chief of Police during the first week of December 2023. That is the first line of paragraph 68. Now, you just confirmed that under no circumstances would an appointment be made absent a competency assessment. And here we have a situation where Chief Mapieye, who was the chair of that panel, indicates that none was ever done because the panel never reconvened for purposes of considering the two candidates based on their interview results and the results of the competency assessment. What I invite you to make a comment in light thereof on the validity of the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi.
Looking at his statement, and as I'm sitting here...
Dr. Mashazi, you've switched off the other mic. Can you please switch it on?
Oh, it's from the file. Apologies.
And again, try to pull them forward if they still can come forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Commissioner. In terms of the way the statement is crafted, as I indicated that I was on leave, but at the face value, the process cannot be valid if the competence assessment were not done. And I would request that we go back and check with HOD-HR if indeed competence assessment were not done. Remember, we received the bundles on the 26th, and we were left with 2 days to prepare and get information. And I'm sure sitting here, they wouldn't do anything illegal without following processes. But I do not want to dwell much on it because I do not have records of the actual interview process.
I accept that, and I guess rightly so, you give them the benefit of doubt that they wouldn't do anything illegal, and neither am I suggesting that they would. Mm-hmm. And perhaps let's not detain ourselves with that. Mm-hmm. My interest is, you and I have agreed that Chief Mapieye was the chair of that panel. The chair of that panel comes to this commission and says it's a 2-stage process, interview and assessment. The chair of that panel tells this committee, this commission, that after the assessment, we ought to reconvene as a panel and make our final recommendation. And he says that step never took place. Do you have challenges with the evidence that far?
I don't have challenges because it is the statement that he makes and I do not have information around it. Hence, I requested that whether if the commission allows, because Ms. Linda Qasheka will be coming to speak here, or we are given an opportunity to get information to respond to this statement.
Just one question for clarity. Did I understand you to accept that the appointment would be invalid if the competency assessment did not take place and the interview panel did not reconvene to assess the candidates on how they performed in the interviews and also on the results of the competency assessment? So did I understand you to say that you accept that if that were the position, the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi would be legally invalid.
Correct, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And you accept, at least you've got no basis to reject the testimony of Chief Mapie at this juncture?
Correct.
And
May
you...
May I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Dr. Mashazi, just to get your comment on what appears to be a further irregularity in this process, your IM19 that you've provided to us, that scoring sheet in that annexure bundle, the interview summary and recommendation document, it will be in your annexure bundle. And you find it at page 58.
58.
You there? All right. So you see that has got the names of panelists, and you've got Chief Mapie, Zanele Katembo, Kemi Bihari, Linda Kasheka, and then there's HR Secretariat. You see where I'm reading?
Yes, I see.
Okay. And when you look at the last column, signature, you've got 4 signatures, but only 3 are the panelists. You see that? The 4th one is HR Secretariat. And then when you go to the column with the heading approved, you've got only 2 ticks. You've got the tick by the chairperson, Mapie, and then you've got Ms. Kasheka. The other panelists haven't indicated approved or not approved, so they've indicated no position. But importantly, when you go to the next grade, which is down, you've got scoring. Panelists 1 scores Duplessis 18, panelist 2 scores 21, 18, 17, and 19. Those are the panelists. There's a panelist that did not do the scoring. Can you see that? What does that mean? Is it still a regular process where you've got a panel of, we've just gone through the panel there, the number of people, and then you have only 3 that have provided scores at this point. Is that regular in the normal course of recruitment?
It is irregular.
It's irregular. It's another irregularity about this. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Commissioner. You then have annexed the appointment letter as IM 20, your annexure IM 20, and that is at page 15. Now, this letter, as I read it, now before I get to the letter, you say at 133, this letter was not signed off by me, it was signed by the acting city manager at the time.
Correct, ma'am.
Who was that?
It was Mr. Maseko.
He's got a fuller name?
Mr. Togozani Maseko.
Now, when somebody is acting in one's position, normally they write their name and they designate the position as acting whatever, HOD this. Is that the normal practice?
No, they just write acting discretion, just write acting and sign.
And they do so against a name that is not theirs. So you can write Commissioner Baloy and I come and sign and I just say acting, and it's understood that I sign, not Commissioner Baloy. Is that how it works in the city?
What works in the city is that you need to indicate that you are acting, you are not the incumbent of the position.
You who? To the reader of the document, how do they determine who's the signatory?
Well, they wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And that is because this letter that you reference, his appointment letter, was actually intended to be signed by you, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, city manager. And somebody, some random person, you say it is Tokozani Maseko. Some random person appears to have signed and just added the word acting. And that is what constitutes Brigadier Mkwanazi's appointment letter.
I'm saying it is the process of the council. When you act, you indicate that you are acting, and I was not around, I was on leave. He indicated through writing that acting, and he signed. And I take your point that he is supposed to write his full name, that I am acting. But I can tell you honestly so that he was acting and I was on leave.
And what was his substantive position at the time?
He's an HOD for water and sanitation, and he was the acting city manager.
No, he became an acting city manager when you went on leave. But this substantive position, you say, is HOD water and sanitation.
Water and sanitation.
Okay. You stated your paragraph 134. You make the point, at the time of appointment, you were on leave and therefore took no part in the approval process. Correct?
Correct, ma'am.
I just want to test, are you aware of the principle that when you are on leave and you delegate your powers to somebody, you retain the responsibility for actions exercised in your name by that acting appointee? Are you aware of that principle?
I am aware.
On the basis of that principle, are you willing to accept the responsibility for this, what now appears to be an irregular appointment?
I do accept.
You then say you were not part of the approval process. Then you say, I quote, the administrative finalization of the appointment. But we know that that administrative finalization of the appointment was never effected because it was never finalized. The panel never concluded its exercise. Are you willing to accept that?
I do, Commissioner.
At 136, you state, in light of these facts, I'm unable to understand the basis for the allegation that I played a role in promoting or advancing Brigadier Mkwanazi's appointment. In light of the fact that, at least on the basis of his letter of appointment, your name appears on it, you explain it away by saying, actually, it was not I, because I was on leave, it was this other person we have named. Are the allegations wholly baseless that you took part in the appointment? And I'm saying this in light of the fact that it is your name that is reflected at the bottom of the appointment letter.
And when they appoint or when they sign for anything, that's why there's a space where they need to indicate that they're acting. So you cannot chop and change the forms as and when. The forms, all the forms are standard, including whether it's BAC forms and whatever. But I take a point that he was supposed to write his full name and then sign as acting.
And hence my question to you, to say his name doesn't appear anywhere on this document. You take issue with the allegations that you played a role. And I'm saying now, with wisdom of hindsight and now having come to understand the challenges and what this document represents, do you contend that the allegations are wholly baseless?
The allegations are
wholly baseless. They are without merit whatsoever, and there is no basis on which they could ever be made.
Exactly.
That you're so content?
Yes.
Notwithstanding the fact that the appointment letter bears your name?
Notwithstanding?
The fact that Brigadier Mkwanazi's appointment letter bears your name doesn't bear your signature, but it bears your name.
Correct.
Notwithstanding that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you conclude your 136 by saying the documentary record makes it clear that the process was conducted by the appropriate officials and finalized during my period of leave. Based on our engagements this morning, you cannot stand by that statement and the concessions you have made. You cannot say that that process of appointment was finalized because we have established that it wasn't. Are you willing to make that concession?
Correct, ma'am.
Thank you. I then want to move on to question 12.
But before
Yes,
moving on, am I correct, based on take you back to page 59 of the letter. At the top there it says inquiries Linda Tsasheka. Am I correct that Ms. Tsasheka is the person that must have prepared this letter for signature by the city manager?
Correct, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
Just one more thing, Dr. Mashazi. So this is an offer letter. It's a letter of appointment on page 59. And we don't have to mention the package, it's not necessary. But you see the package set out there on page 59.
Yes.
In the offer letter. And then on page 62 is a document titled Offer Acceptance Letter. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
So in that document, Brigadier Mkhwanazi accepts the offer, but makes a counter offer because he says, I want my total package to be increased by some 200,000 rands. My question is, was that counter offer accepted, or his proposal that his package should be increased by close to 200,000, was it accepted? And if so, by who?
Obviously, this is mandated to the accounting officer. All the senior managers, especially the DH and the HODs, immediately they're appointed. All of them, they raise issues that they accept the appointment, but in terms of the salary difference between them and their juniors, there is a little gap, and they're allowed for as long as the salary increase or the suggested salary increase, it is not above the band that is approved by council.
So it came to you?
I think so. It came
And
to
you
me.
approved it?
I think so.
But why would you have approved it if the offer letter says the package is what is set out on page 59? And please, for our purposes, you don't need to mention what his package was. Just the principle I'm debating with you. We can just discuss the principle.
The principle of approving the request by any HOD or DH, it's a principle. It's an approach that we've done to all of them, whether HOD or DH. If they make a point that the salary difference from where they are to the next level doesn't make much difference, looking at the risk of entering into a 5-year contract compared to being a permanent employee, because he was coming from a rank of director to a DH, and DHs are in a 5-year contract.
Thank you.
If I may just, I know I said I was moving on, but your engagement with Commissioner Khumalo triggered a question, and I'll take a step back. Once again, and I follow suit, please don't mention the package at page 59. You may or may not have an answer to my question. The second question. The first is, this position that he was then, quote unquote, appointed into is the same position that was occupied by, is it Commissioner Mzolo? I'm sorry if I get the title wrong. Was that Mr. Mzolo's previous, the position Mr. Mzolo had vacated?
Correct.
I think through retirement.
Correct.
To your recollection, the package reflected at page 59, did it accord with what Commissioner Mzolo was earning at the time in that position? Or was it higher, lower, if you recall?
I'm sorry, I do not recall, because there are so many requests.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Yeah. And it's something that perhaps Mr. Sheka, as HOD HR, might be able to shed light on.
Correct.
Okay, we shall pursue it with her. Thank you.
Maybe just to follow up on this, on the back of this question, when you approved this increase, this counter offer, because that's really what it is, It's not a request. It's not someone who says, I'm at this salary, now I ask you to increase. This is a counter offer. When you accepted this, did you discuss this with Mr. Sheka as the head of HR?
Thank you, Commissioner. The request comes from HR. It's a formal request for my signature. So she would come with and present the request for the increase, and would sit and discuss and look at the previous level where the incumbent or the candidate was, and we consider those facts and we look at the salary band. She advises in terms of the salary band whether it is within the salary band of a DH.
And would the chief of police have any input in that discussion? Because this is someone who's going to report to him, and he has other divisional heads reporting to him.
No, it was just, it is only Ms. Gashega that presented the report to me because it's an HR process.
Okay. All right. And then I just want to be sure, in the light of your earlier discussion and concessions about the irregularity in this appointment, when you look at your statement in paragraph 131, page 22, you say there, the scoring clearly demonstrates that all members of the panel independently assessed Brigadier Mkhwanazi as the stronger candidate, which is why he emerged as the highest rated applicant and was accordingly recommended for appointment. Now, we've looked at that panel sheet that I've just discussed with you at page 55. When you made this statement that all members of the panel, you were aware of IM 19 because it comes from you. It's part of your documents. So you were aware of IM 19 at page 58 when you said all members of the panel scored him highest.
To be honest, I was not aware about the irregularities. You are only pointing the irregularities now to me, and I take a point that the comment on page 131 should be amended.
So where did you get it from, that all members of the panel scored him the highest? If you were not aware of this panel sheet, where did you get that statement from?
The statement?
Where did you get it from, that the panel, all members of the panel scored him highest? Where did you get that information from?
From the scoring sheet.
But the scoring sheet, the scoring sheet doesn't say that.
The scoring sheet says he was scored the highest, but not all members.
Yes.
Which is an oversight because I did not check whether all members, but I just saw the round figure that one scored 54 and the other one scored 60, 62, yes. 64.
Yes. So you're saying you hadn't really looked at the scoring sheet properly by the time you made the statement in the affidavit?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. The second part of that paragraph, 131, you say, and was accordingly recommended for appointment. Where did you get that he was recommended for appointment? Who told you that?
It is according to the report from HR, the one that is attached, that is being signed by Mr. Maseko.
Which report is that, ma'am?
Where is it? I think it's IM 20.
But IM 20.
IM 20. Or,
no.
Yeah, the appointment letter.
Yes, the appointment letter is addressed to Mr. Mkhwanazi. It is not a report, and it doesn't contain a recommendation for his appointment.
Maybe in terms of the crafting and the format of the appointment letter, we should actually accordingly look at raising issues like he was a recommended candidate and you were a recommended candidate and this is your appointment, you are duly appointed. I think this form falls short of that kind of information.
Yes. And please correct me. My expectation, my assumption is that there would have been a recommendation to you as the appointing person, and I know you were on leave in this period, but ordinarily, if you had been in office, and you would have received a recommendation from HR to appoint him.
Correct.
You say you were on leave, so it would have come to whoever was acting in your position, recommending the appointment.
Correct.
And then you would either accept or reject it, right? Whoever was in office in this case accepted the recommendation, assuming the recommendation was made properly, accepted the recommendation and then issued this letter of appointment. What I'm discussing with you is in your statement, you say a recommendation for his appointment was made. And my question about where do you get that is important because of the controversy that has been read to you from the statement of Chief Mapie that the process was not completed. So you say there was a recommendation to appoint him. And I would like you to say to us, where do you get the statement from? Did you see a recommendation? Is that why you say a recommendation was made? Is it because you saw a recommendation?
Thank you, Chair. As we indicated that the preparation for this bundle and this testimony that was prepared over a year, and the testimony was given over 2 weeks, and we were only given 2 days to prepare our files. I think we fell short of including some of the information or responding properly to the issues raised. And I take your point that there are a lot of gaps in terms of our statement. And I also appreciate the fact that the Commission has actually apologized in terms of the prejudice that we suffered in terms of the timelines of preparing our documentation in response to the allegations that were made.
No, but Ms. Mashazi, what you say in paragraph 131 is not a function of, it's not a gap and it's not a function of you didn't have enough time to prepare. You say, you make a positive statement. A recommendation was made that he be appointed. You say that. You could only say that because you saw a recommendation. That's the one possibility. The only other possibility is you make a statement that has no basis whatsoever. In fact, you didn't see a recommendation. You assumed. You may have assumed, or you just made it up. This is not a function of you didn't have time. You either know or you don't know that there was a recommendation. It's that simple. But if what you've just said now is your best answer, I really would not want to press you any further.
I beg your pardon, can you repeat the last statement?
If what you've just said now is the best answer to my question about where did you get that there was a recommendation, if you say your answer is you didn't have time to prepare and so there are gaps and you can't take it any further, I will leave it at that.
Correct, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Dr. Mashazi, I had invited us to now turn to question 12. It appears at your page 23, paragraphs 137 to 139. And the question really related to the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi to the position of Acting Chief of Police for the period 6th to the 17th of May 2024. See that?
Correct.
Okay. Could you summarize your response for the record, please?
Yes, he was appointed from the 6th to the 17th of May to act in the position of Chief of Police. And the appointment was made by myself because he qualified for the position to act because he was already a deputy chief of police. And I need to indicate that in terms of council processes, we rotate individuals in the acting position. You can only appoint for 3 months. And if you can, the commission can recall that at some point Mr. Spies acted, I appointed him to act. And also during Mzolo's period, Mzolo was also appointed. That is the gist of the matter, that he qualified to act and we had to rotate because previously it was Mr. Spies that was acting. And the next in line obviously would be Mr. Gwabi because they only have 3 deputy chiefs of police.
Thank you. Commissioner Kumalo?
I want to move on to September 2024 to ask the same question. So, Chief Mapieya was suspended in September 2024, correct?
Correct.
And somebody then had to be appointed as acting chief of police, correct?
Correct, Commissioner.
Was that also Brigadier Mkhwanazi, now Deputy Chief Mkhwanazi?
The acting deputy chief was then Deputy Chief Mzolo when...
No, my question is when Chief Mapieya was suspended in September 2024, you had to appoint an acting chief of police.
Correct.
Who was that? Who did you appoint as acting chief of police in September 2024?
I don't have my records to recall exactly who was. It's either it was Mkhwanazi or I do not recall, but we'll have to get the documentation.
I don't want to waste time, so maybe you can come back to that on that.
Yes.
So it will be a same question, but different period. Thank you.
Correct, Commissioner.
If I may then just, because you've promised Commissioner Kumalo to come back on that issue, just to remind you that the clip we watched yesterday where you responded to the issue of the IPID report, you recall that? It's on record as that interview as having been conducted on the 3rd of February, 2025.
Correct.
And at the time, reference to Brigadier Mkhwanazi is as acting chief of police.
Correct.
I'm just giving you a sort of a timeline and perspective. So if you accept that he was an acting chief of police in February 2025, yours is to work backwards to when he was appointed.
Correct.
Okay. Back to my question. My question was, you say that there is a requirement for rotation when you appoint, you make acting appointments.
Correct.
Where is that requirement to be found, and how exactly does it, provide? What exactly does it provide for?
I think it's one of the HR processes where it provides, it indicates that for any acting, it should not overlap the period of 3 months. And all of us in different levels, whether it's the chief of police that would appoint somebody to act as acting deputy chief of police, it should be 3 months and not more than 3 months. Yes. And there should be rotation if there are other qualifying candidates who can actually take up the position.
Now, we know Brigadier Mkhwanazi acted from the 7th of May to the 17th, the 6th of May to the 17th of May. That's what we have in our statement, correct?
Correct.
I don't want to answer your question, but when Chief Mapieya was suspended, to my recollection, I think Brigadier Mkhwanazi was appointed as the acting chief of police. Speak under correction, of course. To your recollection, in between the two periods, the 17th of May 2024 and the 25th of September 2024, which is the date on which Chief Mapieya was suspended, was it ever necessary to appoint an acting chief of police?
Correct, ma'am.
For which period?
Correct, because you can't leave the position vacant, because there should be someone who should assume responsibility for the department.
No, I apologize. I think I was very inelegant in how I posed my question. From our statement, your statement, at page 23, and the question posed, we know that Brigadier Mkhwanazi acted from the 6th to the 17th of May, 2024.
Correct.
My question is, between the 17th of May, 2024, and the 25th of September, 2024, which is when Chief Mapie was placed on suspension. Are you with me?
Correct.
Was there ever a need to appoint an acting chief of police?
Correct.
When was that? And basically, before he was suspended, was he ever not at work, requiring the appointment of an acting chief of police, Chief Mapie?
Okay, thank you. When he is off sick or when he is on leave or any individual on leave, we need to have someone, whether it's one day, someone taking the responsibility for the department.
And I'm asking whether or not that situation arose in the period,
Yes.
17th of May. When?
When?
Between the 17th of May and the 25th of September 2024, was Chief Mapie off or sick or not at work, requiring you to appoint somebody to act in his stead?
We wouldn't appoint somebody to act if the chief of Mapie was on duty. And to be honest, we need to get the records of his leave, whether it was sick leave, because as I indicated that, unfortunately, I could not draw up his leave record because he is. I will make just a general statement that on a monthly basis, or not monthly basis, or 2 monthly basis, the chief of police will be off. Either his father is sick in Madlanga, or he is sick himself, or he needs vacation leave. That's why at the point when we gave him those 30 days, he did not have enough vacation days. Okay. So each time when a person or an incumbent is sick or is on leave, any kind of leave, we need to have someone acting. So we'll have to therefore go back, as we indicated, the time constraints, and get the sick leave of the chief of police on that particular day, or the leave forms.
Thanks. Perhaps the way I posed the question implies that I require of you to recall those times Chief Mapie was not at work and therefore somebody had to be appointed in his position. No, I didn't intend to communicate that, but perhaps let me ask a different question. Between the 17th of May, 2024, when the acting appointment of General Mkhwanazi terminated, and until your retirement from the city on the 30th or 31st of July 2025, whatever the end date is, did you ever appoint anyone as an acting chief of police or persons? And from what you stated, your paragraph 138, the choice would have been either Mr. Mkhwanazi, because then he was appointed deputy chief of police. It was Commissioner Spies, because he already held a similar position. He was one of the 3 deputies, right? And the third was Mr. Gwabe. So you had a choice of 3. Mm-hmm. In that period, did you ever appoint any one of them to the position until you retired of Act Chief of Police?
Dr. Mashazi, please mull over the question and answer it when we resume at 11:15. Let's rise.
Thank you.
One question at least.